Raleigh, I guess I'm giving the word back to
Sweet,
you.
thank you. Oh no, I'm here. That was excellent. Thank you so much, Vlado. Oh, that's exciting. I hear stuff like that. I'm like, okay, what can I do in my area? It's like Richmond. Okay, we get to do stormwater capture. We get this organized. Get rainwater gardens up and running. It's really cool because I think where the potential is if it's really if all of a sudden it's kind of decentralized and anyone anywhere can tap into these affiliate networks and get these projects started, there's no stopping the potential of this. This is absolutely incredible. So it's Q&A time, and yeah, we got a lot of questions coming in. So if you didn't type it already, type it into the chat box, and then Mikkel and Jan, the authors of the New Water Paradigm, two of the authors, and is Anna Maria right, the translator?
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll help answer some questions too. So why don't we get started? So the first question comes from Svetcha. I'm probably saying her name wrong. It says, how big should the properties be to show effect?
Čiže aké veľké by mali byť pozemky, aby sa ukázal efekt.
Okay, I will be answer.
Yeah.
It is all is possible to starting of 1 acres or 1 hectares. If you are ownership of, for example, 10 acres, you can do it, and will be starting to on the microstructural level will be restore of dew, starting to restore dew, because more water in ecosystem starting on the totally microstructure level to restore of dew and water. And I know about this very nice project in Tamera, which is only 140 hectares, and results is great, and it is really possible to develop concept on the microstructure level.
So if I may, I would ask maybe that there is no property small enough so that it would not be of our interest. I mean, really, if you have a couple of square yards, you still can do a micro garden. Let us know. We are going to still upload it into the global portal. The microstructures, as well as the huge properties, anything is in, anything counts.
Yeah, and microstructure is about your home and house, and if you have house which is, for example, 100 square meter, you can harvest all rainwater to your garden, and you can see results from that.
Excellent. So this is a question from Gabrielle Harris. I think she's coming in from Spain. She's asking, in the Rain for Climate process, what party is designing the best options for restoration and water retention? Like where are these solutions are coming from? How are they being decided?
So it would be actually what happens is that the local affiliate gets into contact with the property owner. There's a specific questionnaire to be filled out by the property owner, and also on top of that, either we come in person or the drone will collect the data. And by doing that, we have all the knowledge on all the specifics on the property, and it is actually us, based on our knowledge and our previous experience, who decides what type of rainwater retention measures should be placed, what dimensions, what their placement should be. So the expertise comes from the Rain for Climate, and of course taking into account the local specifics.
Okay, great. I guess our next part of that is who's going to be maintaining these, you know, carrying out, who's going to be maintaining these projects, and is the service done by volunteers or is it paid for?
I think it is a recommendation for all from us. We need to be rainwater manager experts on the community level. It is necessary to involve. If we looking on the community level, like one small community which have, for example, 100 people, and this community is responsible for manage of rainwater in the scale of space.
Yeah, and I would maybe add to that. So basically, once the project gets implemented, the knowledge gets transferred to the people who have done the work, and also to the property owner. So they know what needs to be done in order to keep this up and running. Generally speaking, the design is done in a way that it will require very low maintenance. And after 5 years, it is good idea to check, and therefore also the expiration date of the certification, because after 5 years, the sediment buildup could be so significant that they will not be functioning efficiently anymore. So that's why we are going to actually check on them after 5 years to make sure that they do work properly. And if they don't, then we are going to issue a set of recommendations, what needs to be done, so that they will be functioning to full extent afterwards.
Awesome. Okay, so one question I'm hearing from a lot of people, they wanted to ask, how is everyone going to network on this? How are people going to find who to reach out to in different areas, Portugal, California, Canada? How are they going to find each other on Rain for Climate?
This is the role of the global portal. Basically, the global portal is the supermarket of contacts and availabilities, if you would. So the Rain for Climate global rehydration portal will be the place where you go, and basically the data that you enter is A, you identify yourself as how do you want to become active, and B, the interest of your geographical location. So let's say that you are located in British Columbia in Canada and you are a volunteer. So based on this configuration or this data that you have entered, you will know whom to talk to. You will know where the projects are available and go and carry on with your mission that you set for yourselves.
Awesome. Okay, so question from Glenn Mitchell saying, what is your drone measuring? Is it measuring water or carbon or something else?
The drone has actually a set of 5 to 6 different sensors. And at the end of the day, the monitoring is done on the energy flow. So we do represent the energy intake and how the property behaves in terms of the energy flow. So they say this is basically the mechanism behind, if you would, and the actual output, you can think of it as sort of a water map. So you have the property, and the outcome would not be a heat map, but it would be sort of a water map, which shows, okay, this left lower corner of the property is doing well. This right upper corner is sort of burnt, so something needs to be done because it is being overheated, and there's not enough water.
Just comment, it's a solar energy distribution, what is measured, solar energy.
Okay, great. So next question is from Chris Clovis. He's asking, what is causing soil to lose its water holding capacity? Hey, Neil.
Okay, Jan, or I can. Yeah.
Okay. So water absorption capacity of soil is given by the structure of soil and organic matter content. What is most important are roots of plants. So the main principle of our approach is that rainwater is not drained, is not sent away, but goes through plants. And in this way, you increase primary production, you increase production of roots, and you make soil during years which really has high capacity to keep water.
Yeah, if you are looking at the photosynthesis process, this is a relation between solar energy, water, and carbon, with chemical and biological processing in the soil, which mean every rainwater and drop of water which are keep harvest to soil and starting to produce biomass and to increase great sequestration of carbon to soil and to increase of production of soil.
Can I jump in on that one as well? Because when you look at, say, if you take rainforest in Brazil and turn it into a sugarcane plantation, the amount of photosynthesis that's going on is significantly decreased. But then you also have things like tilling and laying on pesticides or fertilizers that all contribute to the reduction of soil organic carbon in that soil. And then you'll also get things like erosion washing that soil away, where you're not just losing soil organic matter, you're actually losing the soil itself into your watershed. And so just like things like monoculture and tilling and the application of fertilizers and biocides reduces soil carbon, things like, or rather techniques such as agroforestry or holistic watershed management or holistic grazing are ways that will get that carbon back into the soil and increase your photosynthesis, as well as increasing your soil biodiversity. And all of those things are major factors in soil's water holding capacity.
Yeah, that's a huge, like Elaine goes on about that, of really dried soil that loses its carbon capacity, it becomes hydrophobic. So, you know, when rain deluges happen, it's not capturing it, it's just shunting away. Is my basic understanding of how that works. So next question is from D. D was saying, so what are they actually proposing in reality? How do you find what solutions will work in what scenario for repairing the small water cycle? He's talking about, like, in what situation are you using check dams? What situation are you using johads, gabions? You know, how do you find the right solution for the right scenario?
Well, this is actually based on the expertise that one needs to have. So this is sort of the knowledge that we have gained through the years. There's not necessarily like a flat scenario. If your soil does this, then do this. It is always very, very specific.
And our experience from 2011 and 12 in Slovakia was to calculate, analyze how much runoff of rainwater lost from ecosystem, from catchments, and on the one extreme event, which means, for example, in Slovakia is about 100 millimeters, and we analyzed how much water lost, and we had to build water retention measures on this volume, which mean and selected how to select place was on the responsibility on the community level, because community know very well where is problem with damage of landscape, and if you have some erosion place, you can do it with check dams. If you have more massive erosion valley, you can build gabions, and if you have agricultural land, you can build some contour trench. But mostly it is, for example, for 1 hectare in Slovakia for extreme event is on the agricultural land is about 400 cubic meter per hectare.
All right, excellent. Next question is from Elizabeth. She's asking, will the Rain for Climate portal require any training, certification, or fees for affiliates or communities?
Well, actually, so the question is if the affiliates would be certified for a fee. Is that correct? Did I get the question correct?
Yeah, that explains it. So if you're an affiliate, you get certified for a fee to, I guess,
Well,
become an affiliate.
right. If you want to become an affiliate, what we do is actually we establish cooperation, and you are going to be handed the drone, which we still need to figure out on how to do that because it is quite expensive toy. It's around $40,000, the one device. And basically, the actual relationship, there is no need to become certified or to be an affiliate. There's this legal agreement, I mean, on the legal side, and generally speaking, this is an agreement between the two entities and between people. So yeah, that's it. And the actual profit distribution would be done individually on per project basis. So depending on what type of project we would be doing together, this is also where we agree in the initial phase of the project on what and how the profit would be distributed.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Peter Yao's asking, if your movement takes off, how are you, Rain for Climate, going to keep up with demand? Are you going to train people and organizations locally, which will support the grassroots aspect of your work?
Well, if it takes off, then definitely. Actually, part of the crowdfunding package would be also offering the trainings. So yeah, indeed, if we take off and we make this big, we travel the world, we train the army of people who know what to do, what needs to be done, and we make this as effective as possible. And this is also partially due to the fact that honestly, we don't have that much time left before the weather gets way too extreme for human beings to be on the earth.
Yeah, no, this needs to be carried out fast. So Gabriel Harris actually has a question about Arctic meltwater. She's saying, has the team taken into account current and estimated future Arctic and Antarctic meltwater and its relative effect on sea level compared to the water that could be captured on land?
It's a mic.
And we analyzed from Slovak case that it is all continents is the same level of desertification process, which means globally it's 760 60 cube kilometer loss of rainwater of continent, and to add to sea level rise, which means 2.1 millimeters. It's only from the desertification process. And some part from iceberg, especially in mountains like in Himalaya or Alps and Greenland and in South America part, it is lost, but I cannot calculate how much because we have not information. But main problem about the melting of ice, it is results from increasing of heat on the continent and change of flowing of frontal system in atmosphere. Because, for example, is a couple 3 weeks ago in Slovakia was completely frozen, minus 20 degrees. But in north part of hemisphere around pool was about minus 1 degrees, which means problem about production of sensible heat to atmosphere, starting to create big chaotic flowing of air in atmosphere with negative impact to melting of ice. And if solution for that is to decreasing production of sensible heat on the continent.
Okay, that makes sense. So Pien van Chet, trying to say your name right, Pien. He's saying, how do you prioritize between projects? For example, do reforestation coastal areas get priority because they have an inland rain increasing effect?
It would be better, yes, but I think important is anybody who is willing to do it. So let's try, as we started with even with a small island of vegetation which is vertically stratified could function. But strategically, it's better to start on the coast.
All right, there you go. So a lot of people are asking, like Aaron and Aaron Hackett and a few others in Portugal, like I think Tiago, are mentioning, how do you get in contact? How do you get started training? If you have land, how do you start contributing to this right now?
Well, get in touch with us, and yeah, we are going to agree on how to take this forward.
Okay, awesome.
So just to jump in again, I'm actually trying to get the project I run in Saudi Arabia as one of the affiliates. I don't know if we'd be the first in the Middle East, but it's something we're still exploring. But I think we have access to about 5,000 acres that we're starting to manage, and the Rain for Climate folks will help us with the design and some of the measurements, and we haven't finalized anything, but it is something we're trying to do. And I think it's, from what I understand, it's fairly decentralized. If you want to get involved, it's not that difficult to do, at least from my experience working with Vlado.
Right. Actually, Neil, on this one, sorry, I was not able to get in touch with you, but I was talking to Jan and Michael, so we are all up for it. We just need to find a bit of time, and then we sit down and talk. But yeah, this thing we are definitely going to take this off the ground.
Yeah, that's crazy to think. Neil, does all the rainfall happen in like 1 month during the year? Is that generally how it's happening over there?
We are averaging 1 rainfall every 2.5 years.
Oh.
The last time it rained was April of 2017. We got 8 millimeters of rain. In February of 2016, we got around 30 or 40. In November, but between January of 2011 and February of 2014, we had no precipitation at all.
Man.
Or at least no rainfall. We probably had some condensation at some point or another, but it's negligible.
Is there anywhere else that's that extreme in terms of the amount of time between rainfall?
Lots of deserts are like that, actually. It's just erratic. But we're in a true desert. We're not in a desert that's caused by human activity. It's a naturally occurring desert that's getting worse because of overgrazing and wood cutting. But reversing the process is crucial, and for me, relying on the Rain for Climate folks has been really important in fleshing out how we present the environmental impact. I was sitting down with the Saudi Wildlife Authority a month ago, who they're essentially the Ministry of Environment. They run all the national parks, they do all the conservation stuff, and it was the Rain for Climate, some of the studies and some of their images that I showed them where they were like, okay, we can see that the bigger picture of this is significant.
All right. So, yeah, let's see. So next question, I think this is for Mikhail or Jan. It's from Don Smith. He's asking, can you explain how the upper atmosphere is cooler and yet doesn't cause cloud formation over a heat island? He says you show a higher temperature with more cloud formation over the well-hydrated areas. And he says excess water in the atmosphere isn't distributed evenly, but does a cooler temperature generally produce greater cloud formation?
We started with the examples of Athene and some places in Africa. There were these hot islands, and you saw how in summer the precipitation goes down. If we have data here from the areas which have forest, like Congo or like Amazonia, we would see that in summer there is an increase of precipitation. On the contrary to the dry, hot islands, because when there is a vegetation, enough vegetation and large vegetation, the so-called biotic pump starts to work, which sucks the the humid air from the ocean. So when looking at the distribution of the humidity in the atmosphere, we have to see what vegetation is doing. Vegetation, when it is really rich, it cools, and there is a lower atmospheric pressure, and then there is a movement of humid air from ocean inland. When we remove the vegetation, then the land is overheated and there is a block which doesn't allow the income of the humid air from ocean.
Yeah, I can to explain on the case in Slovakia in one summer day, which is extremely hot, and we have in summer sometime weather like in India, and 50 years ago was quite very nice weather, and daily production of sensible heat to atmosphere is massive. And it's with decreasing of real vapor is starting to produce sensible heat to atmosphere, and daily production of sensible heat from small country like Slovakia is 50,000 square kilometer is around 200 terawatt hours of energy. And you need know that it's one daily production of electricity in all power station in Slovakia is 0.1 terawatt hours, which means from dry land is produced to atmosphere 2,000 times more energy, which are completely change of behavior and flow clouds in atmosphere and change of distribution, time and space distribution of rain. And this case in Cyprus is completely exactly how it's working of heat island, and heat island growing daily around the globe, because we know that it's annually is increase of ceiling urban zones annually on the globe about 57,000 square kilometers. And the same is transformed from forest to agricultural land is more than 100,000 square kilometers, which means without the change of ecosystem from forest to agriculture, from agriculture to urban, starting to massive production of energy to atmosphere with this completely change of behavior of flowing of air and clouds.
That makes huge sense as the paving and just hyper tilling increases, the heat islands are just building up. As kind of a follow-on question, what are some of the best examples you've seen of that process being reversed? Like has there been any projects where the biotic pump has been restarted, for example, along the coast somewhere?
So we have good examples. They are not so big. There is a man in Australia, which is Peter Andrews, with his natural sequence farming, which he practiced from, I think, 80s, and there are books, and he's famous. There are things in India, which Michal can report on. There is a fantastic man in Kenya, Yospa Pakaria, who did miracles on 2 hectares, which is not case of biotic pump. So Mike can refer about the India, please.
And it's in India, like Jan say, it is one, it's in Rajasthan. It's very nice project which developed Rajendra Singh, which is just now this famous guy from which obtained Stockholm Water Prize. And he restored of 8 rivers. It is one. And second is very nice in Maharashtra, and water organization trust starting to develop with keep rainwater on the lands about 15 years ago, and have excellent example and results with great benefits to production of agriculture foods, and in completely in rural country which was dry up in special after Second World War. And just now it is quite interesting how is underground water table is growing, production of agricultural from agricultural land is growing, people return to a region, and this is this great example how to help for to disseminate this activity to another place around the globe.
Great. So for those people who are new, just coming in new to Rain for Climate and the new water paradigm, where can they go to find the best examples of how water restoration can cool down temperatures and stabilize extreme weather? Is it on the, it's on the Rain for Climate site, the science behind?
That is correct, actually. The goal of the Rain for Climate, so if you go to Rain for Climate and you go to the Science Behind section, that's where the sample projects are. Also, that is the place where you can watch some audio, video, and also do some reading. And actually more projects is coming in. We do have the collaboration already agreed with India and so on. So if you are interested, I would recommend please hop onto our site, go to the Science Behind. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask, and more of the content would be coming up shortly.
Yeah, and everybody, anyone who signs up for this, this webinar is going to be as free as long. I think we leave free forever, and everyone's going to get the replay afterwards. You'll get a link to the part 1 of this presentation, a presentation with Walter Jen about a great explanation of the science between how these concepts work. And yeah, we wanted to just get all of this great picture of science about this together. A lot of people are asking, is the portal up already, or has that not been launched yet?
Actually, it had not been launched yet, and that's why the funding campaign. We need to get some additional resources, which we can sink into R&D. So the plan or the design of the portal is done, but we still need to do the programming, but this will take additional resources, which we at this point don't have. And that's the primary need of the crowdfunding, to get this up and running.
Yeah, and in this movement, it is like pioneering ambition to develop new global movement, because we are just now around with these ideas to starting to develop this global movement for restoring of a small water cycle everywhere.
Nice. So Aaron's, another question from Aaron. He's saying he really wants to get started training and implementing this. Where does he start with Rain for Climate if he wants to become an affiliate or someone who just wants to carry a community member who's carrying out these?
Right. So please just get in touch with us using the web form, and we are going to get back to you. This will happen to us after the previous webinar. We've been for 2 weeks underwater with the email requests, but we managed to talk to everybody who got back to us, and we sit down with them. We spend approximately 1 hour, more or less, and then we agree on the next steps.
Man, that's a commitment. Kudos to you guys for filtering through probably hundreds and hundreds of probably thousands of emails. That's always a challenge. So here's a question for Raquel from Raphael. She's actually asked this twice, and she keeps reposting it. She's saying, what is the relationship between water and climate and Rain for Climate? Are those organizations two aspects of the same thing?
Čiže aký je vzťah medzi Rain for Climate a Water for Climate nejakou inou organizáciou? Čiže medzi nimi nejaký vzťah?
Water for Climate we are developed because I was last year in US, and we developed with Jane Lambert a concept to develop on the East Coastal Zone, which name is Water for Climate. No, sorry, it's Voice of Water. Sorry, I forgot just now in this moment. Voice of Water, and it's water and climate. It is we need to help for understand deeply. With its main concept is about rainwater, because it's with water follow down from sky, and we need to deeply understand and to starting to thinking about rainwater, because all water on the continent, on the ecosystem, is completely dependent on the rainwater.
So I'm just looking this up. There's several projects ongoing. Actually, for some reason, people started to generate multiple projects at this point for some reason. So we are not associated with any of those, and all of our partners are listed on our website. So we, at this point, do not recognize these projects, I would say. Nevertheless, would be happy to cooperate and agree on cooperation. So.
Dang bandwidth, that always happens. As a quick shout out, I gotta give kudos for a lot of great folks around this webinar. Christina Bertal, Dwayne Norris, who works with a lot of natural sequence farming stuff. Judith Schwartz is here. A lot of great people working on water are in attendance here right now. So this is great to see so many you people here who've dedicated a lot of years, and sometimes don't get the recognition you need, and because your work has been extremely important. And thank you for jumping into this for I don't know, some of the people better part of a decade, 2 decades. So thank you for showing up, and thank you for doing that work. Including Russer, he's been doing a lot of water work. You said something?
When is the crowdfunding going to happen? Is that set for end of April?
Well, actually, it's going to happen somewhere at the end of April or end of May latest. So it will be out definitely May. We'll see if we are going to make it in April. We did have some hiccups with the organization due to personal constraints, but we'll see. So for the moment, end of May latest, should be up and running.
We'll be ready for that.
All right, end of May, you got it. I'll be down to help out. All right, folks. Yeah, you got any more questions for the end? I think we got in under time, and we had scheduled to go to a 1, but and let's see what. Right now in Slovakia, it's 9:38. So we need to. Y'all need to get going. I understand, but we appreciate the heck out of your time. This is great. So Adam's asking, Aaron's saying he's half Slovak. Awesome. Adam is saying somehow, will this be available to replay? Yes. Okay. Got to the training questions.
I think we hit them.
Scott's asking about how, have you used a product that uses biochar for regenerating soil? Oh, we had Albert Bates on here too. That was cool.
We know the
Shout
stuff.
out to Albert.
We know the stuff well. It's organic matter. We rely on the water cycle and on the encouraging of plants to increase biomass via the better water regime. We are not against biochar.
Yeah, biochar is great in a lot of ways. I'm sure it could be tied in with this. Like if check dams were started, biochar could be used as a way to capture nitrogen. Okay. Well, everybody, I guess it's just kind of now we can just kind of chat between Neil and me and all the Rain for Climate folks. Now we're kind of here for some open chatting. I think we've moved through the questions. Neil, do you have anything you want to ask these guys?
Let's finish up and cut the recording, and then we'll stick around for whoever wants to stick around.
Okay, great. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to cut the recording now. Thanks so much for joining for this incredible presentation of Rain for Climate Part 2. This is arguably one of the most important organizations that have ever been started, and we're going to be here to support them when they launch their crowdfunding campaign because it's absolutely incredible. And I hope to be a part of this hugely important decentralized movement, because if anyone anywhere can be creating water retention areas in their zones, we don't need to wait for the government. We don't need to wait for some big corporation to give us money when we could be starting doing this where we are right now. And that's the power of this. We can help shift the temperature and extreme weather by doing this on the scale we need. So thanks everybody for sticking in. And as one quick shout out, this is part of Sustainable Design Masterclass, sustainabledesignmasterclass.com. And yeah, tune in for more awesome ecosystem restoration webinars, entrepreneurship webinars, and regenerative agriculture classes. So cutting the recording. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
All right,
Molly.
so we officially ended that. Now we're kind of in a more chill time. This is more relaxed. This is more unofficial. We let the hair down. No one can see this except you all. So this is secret. So any questions here under the table? Aaron's asking, have you guys reached out to universities? Yeah, what is their relationship with you? Do you get a lot of people who say this is nuts, this is crazy, this can never happen? How do you respond to that kind of academic pressure?
I think we can show the history of the civilization and to show that they dried out and that we repeat the same mistakes. So, and then to show again the positive examples. Unfortunately, we have more negative examples, which means when we drain somewhere or when we remove forest, we have a problem with the water. So now it's up to us to have a more positive examples. And we show that the restoring vegetation means restoring of weather and more higher productivity.
My answer will be rather quick. The answer would be just watch.
There we go. That's a good one. Examples speak way more than words. So I've met, when I've kind of volunteered with some of these projects in New Mexico, like Quivera Coalition does really amazing projects with creek restoration. Do they work together? Like, let's say there's independent organizations that have been doing this kind of work for 20 years. Like, how do you end up working with each other? Do they have to reach out to you and they join Rain for Climate?
Well, it's actually both ways. I mean, both Michael and Jan and everybody on the team, they are sort of moving in this type of network of people. So we try to bring on board anybody and as many organizations as we can. There is this element of ethicality and also a joint chemistry that needs to work out, but those are really just very basic criteria. So anybody who is already working on this and wants to get either more attention, wants to join, more than everybody is welcome. We sit down, we talk. Together we pull the same direction, the stronger we are.
Because Vlado said,
nice.
Just watch. And in order to watch, we need positive examples. Therefore,
yeah,
are important.
Well, you already have a big library there of I mean, New Water Paradigm is absolutely incredible. Once I started reading it, I was like, I have to finish this book. This is amazing. Let's see, what's a good question?
We're getting a lot of questions on techniques and tools. Like we've had people ask about compost, about biochar, and about keyline, and about permaculture. And there's a ton of tools that are available as long as whoever's designing knows their proper use and application. And I think all of it has a place, you know, given the right context. It's and I think what Rain for Climate are adding to something like the Quivera Coalition or to the project I'm on or to regenerative agriculture is that or rather you are showing us a much bigger picture here of how it all affects. Because I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of people doing work with this sort of aim, and necessarily thinking about, global climate. They may be thinking about their own soil or about their own profitability. But I think what the value add here, the value that I get from it, is understanding that there are much larger implications, and that the opportunity to collaborate is a good one, right? There's a tremendous amount of utility here, in addition to the knowledge gain. But in terms of tools available, whether it's keyline or properly managed grazing, or a check dam versus a Zuni bowl versus whatever tools there are, that comes down to context entirely.
Here's a good question from Scott. Wow, that's cool. He says, I sit on a board of watershed planning for a basin with over 1,000 square miles, and I'm interested in increasing retention and infiltration. Do you have any type of promotional material that can really quickly connect with someone? Probably the site, right? I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, for the moment, I mean, this is sort of specific situation, so the best and also probably the most effective way would be just get back to us, just use the email or just drop us a message via the website, the form, and yeah, we are going to get back to you, and yeah, we talk through details.
Nice. Well, Aaron, yeah, we get to Aaron's question. I had a question. This is a very personal question. What keeps you all going through all the obstacles that you've had over the last 10, 20 years? What keeps you going when you have like a government stopping you or the money gets pulled out from under you? What keeps you all going?
I think it's for Michael.
If we are looking for our kids and we are responsible for perspective or sustainability, this is our motivation, my personal motivation. Because it's from my knowledge I know that it's annually is lost from small water cycle around 1% of balance of water, and this process was starting after Second World War, and it's massive dry up of ecosystem of continents, and you can easily calculate where we are just now and how many years we have in perspective on the unsustainable, because we have Agenda 21 and we forgot for restoring of water. We are still speaking about protection of last balance of water, and we need to reverse this thinking to restore of water. And because rainwater is lost from ecosystem, and this is very dangerous perspective for society on the globe.
If I may, I mean, I have not been doing this for decades. Only I've been on board actually fairly recently. But when I get home and I look my kids in the eye, and I tell myself, what the hell did I bring you into? And the next question is, have I done what I could have to get things back? So it's as simple as that.
There we go. I think that's a damn good answer. I got to applaud all of you for you're putting in decades, like Michael and Jan, you've put in decades of your work, and you deserve the recognition of this and the potential of this, and this can transform the earth at the scale we need, and it's going to help millions of people. So thank you for putting this out there, and we want to help get this out there. So I encourage all of you, keep sharing this and start doing it, because information is one thing, but when it comes to action is a whole nother thing. You can have all the information in the world, but without actually doing something, it's still just theory. So we hope to help, work with Rain for Climate to bridge that gap. So when people have the means to do this, they can carry this out. So thanks again. All right. What do you reckon, Neil? Should we close it out, or do you have another question you want to
I think
ask?
so. Vlado and Jan and Michal will talk later as we ramp up on the crowdfunding and also on getting you into the Arabian continent, or rather the sub-peninsula. I don't know if that'll happen before this summer or if it'll be more, it's probably better to wait until the winter when we're more likely to get some rain. But just want to thank you for coming on again. You too, Russ, for connecting everybody and being a glue guy. And to everybody that attended, want to thank you for being with us on Sustainable Design Masterclass. I've got to go pick up my 4-year-old from
We want to
preschool.
get things in place before the rainy season. I don't know, I can't wait till,
Oh,
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Well, we'll maybe bring these guys back sometime soon, and yeah, have a good night, everybody. Danke again. Thanks for staying up till 10 p.m. over there in Slovakia, and we can't wait to have another Rain for Climate webinar soon.
All right. Thank you for having us. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vlado.
Good luck.
Michael, yeah.
Bye-bye.
Help for water.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love that. We'll end with that. That's such a good challenge word, like wait and see, wait and see. That's what everything's about. So if people don't believe this, they think it's too ambitious, just wait and see. I think that's the approach we all need to take. Do it and wait and see. All right, thanks everybody. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks all. Bye.